On the Zero Wasted Days podcast, I want to inspire you to push the boundaries of what's expected in your life and your business, to challenge norms and your growth edges, and to go after the most audacious dreams, because I've seen for myself that anything is truly possible when you have a vision and are ready to go after it. Are you ready to jump in? Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to Zero Wasted Days. I have just had a number of people, both in my DMs and in my community, give me really important reminders of the work that we're talking about here. I guess not just the work, but the importance of me showing up for this podcast every single week. I have to be very, very honest with you. What you see is what you get with me and all my programs and my social media. So I'm sharing this with you because I hope that it is helpful for you. There are so many times in our business journeys, and whether that is launching a podcast or launching a program or a course or, in any of the things that you're actually doing on a daily basis, where we wonder and we question whether or not it's the right thing. And everything with this podcast has always said to me, yes, this is it. This is amazing. But there are certainly days where you are talking out, especially with solo episodes like this, out into the ethers, into the world. And you sit there and you say, I wonder whether or not, people are listening. And not just listening, because I have download information to show me that you're listening and downloading the episodes, but actually taking on board and having things resonate. And I do talk a lot about having faith and trust and belief in so much of what we're doing in our businesses, in our lives on a daily basis. And it's just been a very important reminder for me when I've had just little messages here and there with somebody in one of my group programs and said that she'd shared one of my episodes, and I've had a couple of little DMs saying, oh, I love that episode with such and such, or somebody actually said, I really love all your solo episodes. It just gave me so much, not just confidence, but reassurance that this message coming out to you into the podcast webs every single week is landing, and that it is necessary. And I love recording it, but I am equally as happy hearing that you love actually listening to it. So that's my little intro for today. And I just wanted to remind you how, important it is for me to hear that from you. And so whether it's a review or whether it's a rating or whether it's just dropping into my DMs privately or my emails, then please don't hold back. I really appreciate hearing from you. And in that same vein, I've had so much conversation with a lot of my programs and with my clients lately around getting validation. And it is hard as entrepreneurs because we get less evidence immediately when we put programs out there, we put things out there that things are going well. Sometimes you might get a few sales or you might get lots of sales, and that gives you validation. But a lot of times people put programs out into the world, put content out, social media, whatever it might be, and it kind of leaves you wondering. So if you're feeling like that, you're not alone. That isn't what I'm actually going to be talking about today, but it all kind of weaves together. Today, I'm going to be talking about helping you plan like a girl. I don't know if you remember the Nike ad. It was called Run Like a Girl. And this kind of little headline came down to me. And it was in the vein of me talking and planning out my planning workshop that's coming up at the beginning of December. And it really is about helping you plan in more feminine inspired ways. And I think this is a niche and this is a part of the market that's not really being talked about. And I've heard a few bits and pieces here and there from various different books and sources, but I've never really seen anything like what I'm going to be delivering and what I'm going to be continuing to talk so much more about in my business in the coming months and years. I had a client say to me the other day, quote unquote, I'm not a planner. And I know that she is not alone. In fact, so many women come into my world saying that they don't like planning or are bad at it and that their plans always fail. And they say fail kind of in air quotes as well, because the whole plan doesn't fail, but that they often don't follow through or they get distracted and lack focus. So believe that their plan has failed or that believe that their plan is over when they don't maybe just follow it for a week. And this is all normal. That's what I wanted to say first and foremost. You are not alone if you fall into that category. Now remember, we are here talking about really redefining thinking about new ways of running our businesses and helping you come up with ways that are unique to you and defining for yourself how you want to operate your business, how you want to operate your life, how you want to interweave them. And this conversation is about how you can approach next year, or maybe even just your daily schedule, exactly the way that you want to, defined totally by you. But I'm hopefully going to help you see that you can plan and you can create a strategy, and then invite you to my upcoming planning workshop that is going to dive even deeper into helping you make a successful plan and strategy and truly help set you up for success next week, next month, and next year. So I am recording this in the middle of November, and I am meeting with a lot of women this month and talking both with my private clients as well as my strategy sessions that I have offered as a one-off program. And I'm talking with a lot of people about setting them up for success next year and creating strategies, creating plans, creating a roadmap. Call it what you will, but they are all pretty much the same thing. I have been having these strategy sessions with some of these new women that have been coming into my world. I will leave the link to be able to book one of those with me in my show notes if that's of interest. And really, there is so much more to planning than just strategy and steps. At least that's what I want to help you see. And I also want you to be able to take away today the hope that you can create a plan or a strategy that works just for you. First off, what is a strategy? I'm not going to spend too much time in defining what a strategy is, but really it's a set of steps that takes you from where you are right now to where you want to get to. Hopefully with some data or some research or some science or some intelligence or insights to help those steps that you create be a little bit proven and not just logical steps. Let me go into this a little bit. That is actually the benefit of working with a coach or having somebody to bounce your strategy off of or create one together with. There is data, there is proof, there is research, there are insights that we dive into that lie within your business, or sometimes it's even in your brain, that tell us that what steps are best to get from where you are right now to where you want to get to. And when you work with a coach or when you work with me, I have a lot of experience in helping you understand or helping us formulate a strategy and formulate the steps based on what I know are proven facts or proven research or proven client results. So there's less winging it and a lot more certainty of results. But did you know what we actually have all been planning and living under is a really archaic system that was built by men? In fact, the calendar as we know it was actually created in about 3000 BC, a long time ago. The Sumerian calendar, which is the closest shape to what we actually use right now, was kind of different to what we use, but overall, the kind of time tracking techniques, which seem a little bit outdated, are not actually that different to the paper calendars that you might have pinned up on your wall or have a digital version of on your computers that we use today. In the past, astronomy was even more important in our calendars and in planning and keeping track of time. You know, it was the Sumerians who used like sightings of the first full moon to mark a new month. You know, like hundreds of years later, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, lots of other ancient civilizations created their own calendars using rotations of sun, moon, and stars to figure out how much time had passed. Nowadays, we have all sorts of options and calendars and planners and systems. But for the most part, they are all based on this ancient system of keeping track of time, which is based on a 24-hour day. In actual fact, this system doesn't work very well for women as we don't operate on a 24-hour cycle. Women ebb and flow in a roughly 28-day cycle in line with our menstrual cycle. During this 28-day period, our energy goes up and it goes down, our hormones change from day to day, how we physically feel changes day to day, what is being processed even subconsciously changes thanks to our hormones, how we behave, how we think, how we feel, how we believe changes on a day-to-day basis based on all of these fluctuations in our energy. So when you take our traditional diary or calendar and plan out your days in a 24-hour cycle, we're not taking any of these things into consideration. Learning how to is instrumental to working and living in more flow with your energy and getting the most out of the more productive times in your life, and maybe doing a little bit less at times when we shouldn't be pushing it. You know the feeling when you're like pushing shit uphill, you're shoveling and controlling and forcing things. And what that invariably does on the other end for those receiving it is it actually repels them. So the more that we are out of alignment with our own energy, the more out of alignment with other people's energy as well. So on top of this, there are a load of other reasons why, traditional planning doesn't cater to the way that we are as women. And I'm going to be going into a lot of these areas in so much more detail in the annual planning workshop, which, as I mentioned, is running live on December 4th and will obviously be available for replay if you are listening to this after the fact. Now, learning how to take all of this into account will help you make plans that are easier to follow, that are flexible, that give you better results, and give you permission to do less, and also give you permission to change them. This is one of the things where we kind of set ourselves up for failure right from the start because we think a strategy or a plan is like chiseled into a stone and we can't change it at all. And that's actually the wrong way to approach it. And what it also does is gives your nervous system a massive sigh of relief. You see, our nervous system loves predictability. So our nervous system, which regulates fight or flight and freeze, in ancient times or back to civilizations where they were being chased by tigers or had actual dangers that were around them, when things were so unpredictable, you would live in fight or flight. Now we try to have more predictability, and our nervous system loves it, and it keeps your nervous system much more regulated. So when you know what to do in your business and you sit down at your desk on a Monday morning or any day of the week, and you know what's going to happen, you largely know what you need to do and how you need to behave and what tasks give you what results, it removes so much of the questioning and the doubt and the fear and the mind games that your subconscious play. So when you learn how to plan this way, it helps you grow your business much more efficiently, more easily, and who doesn't want more money, more time, more energy, more predictability, more freedom? I know every single one of you would answer, yes, that's me. The other aspect that I'm going to touch on briefly here today is about how men and women go about tackling tasks and to-dos very differently. So I'm not going to go into this too deeply, but this is something else that we're going to be talking about inside the annuelle planning workshop because it's so important to understand that we operate differently, men and women. And so when we take the same way and operate in the same manner to create a strategy that gives us tasks that we learn how to operate and learn how to do in a very patriarchal way, and not in a way that is much more feminine inspired and leans into the ways that women operate, that women process, that women move things forward, then we are trying to operate within a system that wasn't really made for us. There are so many ways we can work through our work that are different, that are non-traditional, that are not taught to us, that help us accomplish what we need to. And we give us permission to stop beating ourselves up about when we don't. The last aspect that I have never seen taught anywhere else that goes very much hand in hand with this more feminine approach to planning is about nervous system regulation as you plan. So I have some really unique and proprietary ways to help you learn how to actually do this that I will be diving into inside the annuelle planning workshop. This will make the exercise and the chore, you might think, quote unquote chore, of sitting down and doing your planning and doing your strategy much more enjoyable and much more regulating for your nervous system so that when you're actually sourcing and creating ideas, because when you sit down to write a strategy and when you are planning, you kind of want to also be in a bit of a creative mindset. And if you're in a place of contraction and of, I hate doing this and I'm really not good at this, and you're sourcing your energy from that place, what you actually output and what lands on the piece of paper as you're writing it out doesn't come from a place of inspiration and vibration and energy that is inspiring, that is going to be in the highest frequency. So learning how to actually regulate as you plan is a really powerful way to make sure that the information that you are drawing from, that you are pulling from, the truth that you are speaking, and the message and the gifts that you are sharing in your work with your community and with the world come from this place of inspiration and frequency, and are coming from a place that have just the highest vibration possible. And if you come at your planning with a dysregulated nervous system and continue to stay in dysregulation, then the output, like I said, and the ideas are also going to sit in that realm of kind of negative energy. So I would love you to come to see how you can, for yourself, redefine how you do business and make up your own plan, your own strategy with some of this inspiration. I want it to be a guide to set you up for success next year, whatever that looks like, which is also something that you get to define. And I want to help release the guilt, the pressure, and give you full permission to plan in a way that aligns with who you are and where you're going. So I hope you will join me on December the 4th or catch the replay afterwards. You can sign up for the 2024 Annuelle Planning Workshop via the link in the show notes, here on YouTube, on Instagram, in all of the usual places, and I really look forward to seeing you there live. I will be actually running the workshop twice on the 4th for 2 different time zones, so there are going to be a couple of different options for my Aussie community. I have lots of people that are in Australia that are in my world, as well as obviously in North America and in Europe. So there are 2 different time zones. If I need to, I may actually add some other dates and times after that, but there will also be the replay for you to obviously be able to catch. If this episode has landed for you, has resonated, you would like to share it with the world, I would love you to be able to share it on your stories, in Instagram, on Facebook, wherever it might be, with your group, in your WhatsApp group, whatever it might be. I know that this planning workshop is really going to change the game for so many women, and this is only the beginning of me talking about it and helping my mission of redefining how you do business that I have here at Zero Wasted Days. Thank you guys, and we'll see you the next time. For joining me for this week's episode of Zero Wasted Days. I truly hope that you found it to be valuable and inspirational as you create and you grow your own business and work towards living more life first. I would love you to subscribe, to like this video, and of course, if you have any comments, drop them in here below. Also, if you tag me on socials, I would love to get to know you. I love connecting with my audience, so be sure to tag me at Suzanne Actison or at @ZeroWastedDays_, and I will see you inside the DMs as well as here for the next episode next week.